This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening everyone and welcome to Southern Cross News. 2 Tasmanians have taken the fight against meningococcal all the way to the top, meeting with the Prime Minister to urge for more action to fight the potentially deadly and devastating disease. While some strains are targeted in the National Immunisation Program, a vaccine for the B strain still isn't listed.
Arriving back in Tasmania this afternoon after a successful mission to Canberra, securing high-level meetings with the Federal Health Minister and Prime Minister to fight for more action against meningococcal B with vaccinations and education.
He told me there's steps in place already to start the education and support for the GPs to be able to recognise those symptoms early. Hopefully that's rolled out really soon. So yeah, really positive.
For Erica, the cause is personal. At age 17, she contracted meningococcal B. She escaped the clutches of the potentially deadly disease with her life, but lost her sight.
I was in a coma and that resulted in me now being legally blind. So I've only got 1% vision in this eye and about 20% in this eye, and I don't want that to happen to anybody else.
While a vaccine against the A, C, W and Y strains is included in the National Immunisation Program, the injection for the B strain isn't. GlaxoSmithKline tried but failed to have that vaccine listed 3 times, the most recent in 2015. Now the Prime Minister is urging the company to try again.
So we're urging the sponsor company to resubmit their application at the earliest opportunity with more evidence on the vaccine's effectiveness.
But that's unlikely until next year, the company confirming it's waiting on the results of a study, which are anticipated in 2019, after which it will be in a position to consider a resubmission. Without the results of this additional research, the company says a resubmission is unlikely to be successful.
This is a preventable disease. It costs a lot of money to vaccinate your children. If you had 3 children, you're looking at around $900 to $1,000. People can't afford that.
Local health authorities are focusing efforts on the W strain, which is 4 times more prevalent in Tasmania compared with the national average.
Our rates of B disease are the same as the national rate. So we think that our priority in Tasmania is W, and that's why we're focusing our efforts on vaccinating as many young people as possible with the meningococcal ACWY vaccine.
Another vaccination clinic will be held at the Derwent Entertainment Centre this weekend. It's been expanded to more of Hobart's northern suburbs, which experienced a localised outbreak.
This second clinic, we're opening it up to any Tasmanian who's aged between the ages of 6 weeks up to 21 years of age, who is from the suburbs from Lena Valley to Granton. Bookings can be made on the Health Department's website, while Tasmanians outside that area should consult with their GP or pharmacist. Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
The Labor Party has slammed the state government's proposed new laws surrounding outlaw motorcycle gangs, ruling out its support for the controversial policy. The draft legislation was designed to crack down on gangs wearing club colours, but the opposition says it will give the government too much power.
A plan to rid Tasmania of outlaw bikies. New laws propose banning motorcycle gangs from wearing club colours in public. But Labor has labelled the plan unacceptable.
We're not targeting those law-abiding citizens who happen to ride a motorcycle. This is not about people who ride motorcycles. This is about organised crime.
This legislation sets such a low bar that it could literally be applied to Collingwood jumpers or Holden t-shirts or pretty much anything.
The government says changes are aimed at cracking down on rising outlaw bikie numbers and reducing fear in the community. Tasmania Police is a strong supporter of the plan, but motorcycle groups say it's a violation of rights.
What we don't have is the resources to deal with the outlaw motorcycle gangs, and if they continue to come in and they continue to grow, we are going to be stretched.
If someone breaks the law, then apply the law. What they're doing now is taking it away from the courts and giving it to the police minister to say that they're a bad person.
Under the laws, it would be the police minister who decides what should be banned. The minister would receive advice from police, but a decision would ultimately be made in Parliament, and there is no way to appeal.
Because it's done in regulation, the minister would simply table a name of an organisation in Parliament, and that would be enough for that organisation's insignia to be banned.
This is a piece of legislation. It has parliamentary oversight. Members of Parliament can provide that oversight, and that is what the bill allows for.
The laws will be debated in Parliament next week. Michelle Wisby, Southern Cross News.
Tasmania has been smashed by winds of up to 100 kilometres per hour, with trees uprooted, businesses flooded and buildings damaged. SES crews responded to more than 30 calls for help across the state.
It's an unbelievable sight. This decades-old tree once stood firm, but this morning it was ripped from the ground.
And I could hear the wind coming through, and it just sounded like a jet engine coming across. And then all of a sudden there was this almighty crack, and I thought, Struth, I hope that's not the neighbour's new house.
And it missed the neighbour's brand new house by just millimetres. Instead, it landed on the chicken coop. Luckily, though, the animals were moved last week.
But yeah, I came out to investigate this morning because it was pouring with rain last night, and that's the damage that's been done.
And he wasn't alone, with the past 24 hours producing a weather event unlike any other to recently hit the state. These businesses along the Tamar River were flooded by lunchtime as waters rose and peaked around 2:30 this afternoon. Trees were down across the state, signs completely blown over, with wind gusts of up to 100 kilometres per hour lashing the state.
If you're up Ben Lomond at the moment, the wind speeds are extremely high and there's been some significant damage to some buildings up in that area.
The state's north copped the brunt of it, with this paddock completely swallowed by rising tidal waters, caravan roofs blown open, vehicles washed away, as debris and hay floated downstream by the bag. Luckily, the worst is over, with conditions expected to ease by tonight.
We're expecting that winds will drop below 90 kilometres per hour later on this afternoon across the whole state. So hopefully we're looking at lighter winds this evening.
Jessica Moran, Southern Cross News.
A faulty heater is being blamed for causing a fire at a Mowbray property this morning. Fire crews arrived shortly after 6:30 to find smoke billowing from the rear of the house. A neighbour raised the alarm, fearing no one was home. The damage bill is still unknown, with investigators deeming it accidental. New billboards unveiled across Hobart today are putting the spotlight on the stories of more than 100 Tasmanians. The People's Library has collected poems, short stories and biographies from everyday authors from across the state and combined them into a published book. The exhibition was launched as part of the Hobart City Council's Soapbox initiative, which offers groups the opportunity to have their work shown on billboards across the city.
It's the point now that the library kind of becomes itself through the way that people use it and read the books and access all of the content, and it kind of shows us, I guess, what the artwork will be.
The People's Library exhibition opens at the Salamanca Arts Centre next month. Truckloads of feed donated by Tasmanians have reached some of the hardest hit areas in drought-stricken New South Wales. Those delivering the much-needed cargo vow it won't be their last trip.
Connie Wood has been raising cattle for more than 60 years.
Yeah.
In the drought and dust at Burren Junction, hundreds of animals are down to just a handful. Low on feed and facing some heartbreaking choices, today a delivery that will make all the difference.
I was in there very nerve-wracking. It's great.
Andrew Arnold bringing donated bales of hay from Tasmania.
You'd only dream of these things.
Working with Lions Club Need for Feed, he's part of a 14-truck convoy shipped to Melbourne, then on the road all the way to Moree. The view out the window going from bad to worse.
It certainly is a lot more barren than what I expected it to be.
3 days, 2,000 kilometres, all volunteers.
You only drop an ocean what we're doing, but it does. Hopefully it'll give a bit of morale to the farmers.
The trucks spread out today, dropping off 400 bales across the northwest. This golden gift from the green fields of Tasmania means that Connie will be able to keep feeding her animals for a couple of months. This is about survival now, and every extra day you can hang on brings you a day closer to rain.
There's every chance we'll be back up in the next few weeks anyway, so there's talk of them already saying let's come back up.
To prove again just how far a helping hand can reach.
This is worth more to me than that Powerball.
Let's take a look at the rest of the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. Australian shares have hit a fresh 10-year high with a surge in CSL stocks helping the market overcome falls in energy and material stocks. The ASX 200 index has risen by 29.4 points. Just a short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 72.22 US cents and 110.23 New Zealand cents.
After whipping fans and themselves into a frenzy following last weekend's preliminary final win over Nunawading, Launceston Tornadoes coach Derek Washington says the girls are 100% refocused on the bigger task at hand, claiming a Siebel championship.
You'd be forgiven for thinking the Tawns had already won the Siebel title.
That's what I'm talking about! Down! There you go, Ali Wilson. That's my dog.
With the dust settled on that win, the Tawns coach was a bit more subdued today.
This moment right now, just being able to embrace this time of being in a grand final is very special for me, for the players and the club.
Having snapped Bendigo's 20-game win streak just a few weeks ago, Washington is confident his ladies can recreate that performance in Melbourne on Saturday night, but knows they'll need to be on their game right from tip-off.
They're a good team. They shoot the ball very well. They attack the ball to the rim, so it's going to be a challenge.
Lauren Mansfield may be available for the match, pending a commitment with the Australian Opals, but having gotten this far without her, it won't be panic stations if she's not.
I'm confident in the ladies. We've been doing it all year. We haven't been healthy all year, but now is the time, grand final, everybody's excited, everybody's going to get the job done.
The match will be streamed live on the Siebel Facebook page from 5:45 p.m.
To footy, and it's been a long and at times painful TSL season for the North Hobart Demons, with the young side managing just the one win for the year. But with the club set to recruit heavily in the off-season, coach Richard Robertson says things are looking up for 2019.
After voting to return to the North Hobart name at the beginning of the year, a mass exodus followed, with most of the club's board resigning in protest, followed by 7 of the side's best senior players who defected to Kingborough.
To be honest, I felt sick. Every time I turned the phone on, I'd lose someone else. I reckon we probably lost 80% of our playing list.
Tasked with restoring order, Robinson set about rebuilding the club culture, a difficult ask given how poorly his men were performing on the field.
When you go in the rooms after the game and you speak to the other coaches and you look around the room and you see how young the guys are, like, they actually had a fair dinkum crack.
The D's finally breaking through for their first and only win of the season in round 8 against the Tigers.
That was amazing. Like everyone said, we wouldn't win a game all year, and obviously we only just got over the line, but just to see a bit of reward for effort, just a pity it was a Sunday.
With the bulk of the playing group recommitted for next season, including former Melbourne Demon Colin Garland, the club is attempting to secure some extra experience into the group, including more potential former AFL talent.
We've got a recruiting committee that's working really hard, and I think we'll have some positive news in the next couple of weeks.
In another added bonus for next season, current Australian Test captain and friend of the club, Tim Payne, has also offered to help out where he can.
Just mentoring half a dozen of the young guys on leadership, which, I mean, how lucky are we to have someone of his calibre.
And Robinson is confident his side won't be there just to make up the numbers in 2019.
We're just a blank canvas, and we're basically building our club from scratch again. You can see what the potential holds, and that's the exciting part.
Good evening. The wild weather continued across much of the state throughout the day, with a cold front bringing exceptionally strong winds and showers. Hobart reached a top of 11 degrees with a high of 13 for Launceston, Devonport and Burnie. Friendly beaches, Flinders Island and King Island shared the state's high of 14 degrees. Smithton, Low Head and Strawn all reached 13. It was 12 at Maria Island, 11 at Grove, 9 at Ouse and just 3 at Lyowini. The satellite shows convective cloud over much of the state, and on the bigger picture you can see the cold front that moved through Tasmania sitting over the Tasman Sea, extending a cloud band into the southern half of the continent, the rest of the country remaining relatively cloud-free. Tomorrow, a cold front sits over Tasmania with a surface trough extending into the mainland over Queensland. On the coast, southwesterly winds reaching up to 40 knots, with swells up to 7 metres in the west and south. There is a gale warning for eastern and southern coastal waters and a strong wind warning for all remaining coastal and southeast inshore waters. We've also got a small craft wind alert for the lakes and a minor flood warning for the Derwent. It's set to be a cloudy one for much of the state tomorrow. Hobart 12, a morning shower or two. Cygnet 11, New Norfolk 11 also. Launceston a top of 13 degrees, partly cloudy. Devonport 12, partly cloudy. Campbelltown 11. 11 the top for Burnie and Strawn. Smithton 12. St Helens and Swansea both 13 and partly cloudy. Fingal 12. More showers on Friday, beginning in the north and west before spreading statewide in the late afternoon. On Saturday, more showers contracting to the west and far south in the evening. Snowfalls up to 500 metres. And it won't ease up on Sunday, with more showers expected in the west, south and central areas. Now looking around the mainland tomorrow, sunny for Sydney and Brisbane. Possible showers for Perth and Adelaide. Partly cloudy for Canberra and Melbourne. Now here's a look at the current conditions around the state. I hope that wet weather eases up soon, Jo.
Well, me too, Britt, that's for sure. All right, thanks everyone for your company tonight. We'll see you a little bit later with updates. Bye for now.